done about everything he could from strategic planning to engineering to train service design work. So I'm fortunate that Avery is helping me. And you know, from a high-speed rail perspective, you couldn't talk to a more knowledgeable guy than I here. If you wanted
to have at least 100-foot right-of-way separation between the two.
So at what point do you say, screw it, we will not run high-speed rail train sets on that corridor. We will just run conventional commuter intercity type of service, and we'll do what we can, and a lot can be done to just increase the speed and the reliability of that service rather than going to a completely different type of train set and electrification that would be required so you can have single train service.
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to how much density you can actually attract in terms of passenger service to that dedicated line. But the point, I guess, I'm making is that you've got to have incremental utility as you build things. Otherwise, they won't ever get built. You can't, you know, you don't want to build a giant bridge that people are going to say, well, we're just not going to be able to get to the other side. The way you make things useful is by incrementally improving them, as we did with air brakes in the railroad industry, wheel design and engine locomotives. And you make progress as you go along and people will follow you. Eventually, at some point, with high-speed rail, you'll attract the kind of density, but that's changing the population demographics around the entire rail line. So the point is, in my sense, is that you get there by making every step count. And you do have to have a safe separation between freight and high-speed rail.
Okay. Ken's got a laser question here.
Yeah, it's an incident thing. He reminded me. A bunch of us from one of the groups that Bart and I belong to on the day after Thanksgiving took advantage of the $29 fare thing. The railroad, the BNSF, we were on going to Fuller, going to Orange to connect with the train to the Inland Empire. The whole railroad stopped because the computers stopped. And I made a remark to one of the people, and it wasn't taken well. The point was that we eventually got the Metrolink crews to the train we were waiting. It held for us. A friend of mine actually was on there, and he said he heard the whole thing. Point was that people panicked when, you know, in a way, I didn't panic.
Right.
But some of the others did, and I heard about it. But my point was that when the railroad, what is the policy of the crews on the train to tell the passengers to keep them calm when something like that happens? It was about 40 minutes when the railroad.
Well, you know, the thing we try to do is to teach the conductors on how to address the passengers. Because a little bit of knowledge, if someone took knowledge and didn't understand the context, it could create a situation where people would become alarmed. And you know, the one thing that I want to make perfectly clear: if it's not safe, we don't do it. And the public has got to have that trust that we're not going to do things that are unsafe. And you know, I've spent a lot of time working with Amtrak in the short time I've been here about how we're going to train and our expectations with our conductors and how we communicate with passengers. I've got a group right now that I'll have one centralized core group of employees that will deal with communicating with the passengers and what we issue to our conductors as far as how they address our passengers. So, I mean, I hope you start to see more consistency in how we do things and more professionalism in how we do things. Because all those things are, you know, as we interact with the public, we have to be extremely good at that.
Thank you.
Patrick, and then Justin, and then Sam.
I was at a South Bay Metro meeting for the expansion into the South Bay. One of the proposals that was on the table for the EIR was Metrolink type service down through on the Harbor subdivision down potentially as far as San Pedro. Have they talked to you in their EIR process about
Not yet. I haven't. That's on our project day.
slant.
Oh, you can take a map, but,
I think you gave me one.
you probably did, you're right.
Yeah,
Get 'em on.
but I haven't had discussions formally with everyone yet.
Okay.
Justin,
You had your hand up first.
Justin,
You share quite a few route miles with Amtrak, and I'm wondering, are there ways that you could coordinate better as far as scheduling or ticketing or other passenger conveniences to make the passenger experience for both lines better?
I mean, I think that's part of it. I think anytime there's duplicate service or dual service, that's part of looking at how we become seamless, and it should be viewed as Amtrak and Metro. We do support each other, and we provide service, and, you know, how do we, we're gonna look at all of it. We're gonna do right on it. Mr. Sam.
So Metro has been pouring lots and lots of money into advertising to try and generate ridership. You know, they have billboards and stuff all over the city. And I'm wondering if Metrolink has plans or money to do the same thing.
Well, what I'm trying to do is just joint market. To look at how we coordinate market together. So I think we'd get a lot more bang for the buck and do a lot better job if we had some coordination in how we market.
Whitman,
Okay, I've noticed like whenever you watch sports games, listen to sportscasts, they always mention Ride Metrolink, Metrolink, in partnership, sponsoring that sports team, and sometimes they might have promotions and things like that with the sports teams. I was wondering, like, would it be possible maybe, like, if somebody were purchasing a ticket to a sports event or a concert or something where they can, like part of their concert ticket, like they can go online and purchase a concert ticket and have, like, maybe a discounted Metrolink fare, like, ticket
Good
at the
idea.
same time. And then, like, somehow it would guide them to the Metrolink site and they can also get a discounted Metrolink ticket. And
I don't know about
like
the discount.
well, I mean, the idea is, as a promotional idea, being able to take Metrolink to special events, to promote Metrolink.
Well, I think that whole area is right to look at. How do we joint market all the events? I mean, LA is a destination, and people come from all over to do things here. And I think one of the issues we have is if you are an uninformed rider. Let's say you came from here to visit, and it's intimidating the first time you use our system. One of the things I'm looking at is how do we educate the public. My poor wife, she came and she was here 2 weeks, and so I took her down. She went to LAX and the plane got canceled. So being the trooper that she is, she hopped on the flyaway, got to Union Station, and she was wandering around trying to figure out what to do. And luckily, my manager of passenger services said, "Aren't you Mrs. Fenton?" And my wife was so happy to see her because she shepherded her through the process. And if you are not from LA, driving in LA is not a friendly experience. I've been saluted more than once since I've been here. and I've never seen people get so angry. The one finger salute.
Yeah, we
Yeah, you understand. But it would be great if we would even tie in with some of the tourist groups to give people, here's how you use the system. Here's how you can get, to different places.